What up, though? And welcome to Herman Lo's Lions Rewind on Lions Nation Unite. I'm your host, Kurt Steele. You may know me as the host of the Boss Up, Ball Out podcast. This show is where two Lions legends um, of the game and pride of Lions members, Herman Moore and Lomas Brown, rewind the latest Detroit Lions game and tell you what they saw from a player's perspective. On this Victory Monday of 2024, the first one of the year, Herman Lo looked back at the Lions' thrilling Week 1 victory of the 26-20 overtime game versus the LA Rams. Please do us a favor, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Join the movement and become a part of the Lions Nation Unite community. Let us know in the comments, because we're having a giveaway today, baby. In the comments, your MVP of yesterday's game. We will pick one winner and you will get a special prize, but you got to stay tuned to learn more. Now it's time to bring in the stars of the show. First up is Mr. 84 himself, Herman Moore, and the big fella, Lomas Brown. How you guys doing?
I'm good. I like that introduction, the big fella. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, the big fella, definitely. Yeah. You guys were both in the building last night. Herm, you were there pregame. How was the vibe out in the concourses with the fans?
Well, it was exciting. You know, everyone was looking forward to seeing what this team was going to do after last year's success. And I would say this: the energy level there was to match what the excitement has been leading up to this point. And to that point, I mean, it was. You know, I asked a lot of people when I was in the stadium, you know, what their thoughts were, what their expectations were, and I heard a lot of people saying 13-4, 14-3, and that they were looking forward to the Lions taking the division in the North, and then also that they're looking forward to seeing them in the playoffs again this upcoming season. So the expectations are high, the energy level was high, and it was pretty nice to be there and see just the environment, the excitement that it brought, not just for the stadium itself, but throughout the city and also all the fans.
All right. Now, big fella, you was there in the stadium. You do your job over there with the Lions radio broadcast, and you were there for last year's wild card game. How did the crowd last night compare to what we saw back in January?
Yeah, you know, that I don't know if it can ever match that, to be completely honest with you. I mean, last year, wild card game, Matthew Stafford coming back for the first time, just everything that was on the line. The Lions hadn't won a playoff game in 30-some-odd years. It was just so much build up to that game. I don't think you got the same this game, but, man, the fans were into it. Like Herm said, I got there a couple of hours before the game, and there was people lined up. I got a picture from a friend of mine at 9 a.m. tailgating, you know, going to tailgate. So it was the anticipation of the start of the season last night. And I tell you what, man, that game did not let us down. It was awesome.
Yeah, looking at the game, I want to get into some specifics here in a minute, but Lo, give me your overall thoughts on the performance of the Lions last night.
Well, you could tell and see. I think me and Herm old school. Like I say, I just don't see how they do it these days. But you could tell they hadn't played. If you think about it, those guys hadn't played since the San Francisco loss last year. That was the first action that they got. So, you know, for me, I needed to get some real action in before I got to the real game. But I know this is the way of the new world now, or the new NFL now, and that's how they do it now. But for me, I think it would have been hard for me to kind of adapt to that. And you've seen it. The guys was rusty. You know, you could just see some fundamental things, a couple of things that happened out there. You had a couple of pre-snap penalties out there, a couple of drops, you know, things that once you get into the season, once you get into real action, you know, you'll take care of different things like that. So it was the first game. You expected things like that. Coaches got a lot to clean up.
Yeah, definitely. Herm, what did you think?
I thought that pretty much, you know, Lomas is spot on. You know, when you think about the preseason and you think about what it's typically and traditionally been used for, is what we call dress rehearsal. It's what we try and do to get really sharp. But given the money and the fact that one injury or a couple major injuries could really, sideline your season early on before it even gets started, I understand the caution that coaches and players have in terms of playing in the preseason. But I just think that's why we're not going to see them sometimes as sharp. There's going to be some rust. If you look across the NFL and you look at the quarterback play, there weren't any really from a quarterback position other than, with Tua and some others who put some decent numbers up. Matthew Stafford, but he had to throw 49 times to actually put a dent in it. But it just wasn't a big day, as I saw it would be this past first week for a lot of the teams to see the explosiveness. You see individual players, but I can't say that there was this one team that you can watch and say they were just completely dominant over everyone. There's a lot of mistakes that you typically wouldn't see as many this early in the season.
Okay, Herm, I'm gonna come right back to you because there was a breakout performance yesterday. So, Herm, give me your thoughts on Jameson Williams' breakout performance last night. What was the biggest difference you saw in his game and his chemistry between him and Jared Goff?
There's a confidence piece between Jared Goff and Jameson Williams. And I've mentioned this earlier on when he was going through, just getting acclimated, coming in. He was injured after the draft and then just trying to work his way through that first season and then coming back and then just trying to just get his footing up under him. And a lot of people were concerned about his ability to catch the football, his ability to get open, his durability and all these things. But you won't get to see a player really do what they're supposed to do unless you're utilizing them and you're putting them in positions that not only they're familiar with, but you're stretching them a little bit more. And I see them allowing him to be more than just a speedster down on the deep routes and the post routes and the takeoffs and stuff like that. Getting him the ball in space and on the run, I think allows him to get into his natural flow as a player a lot sooner than what we've seen in the past. So I saw that as his breakout game, meaning from a confidence standpoint. And the fact that when he catches it on the go, you really get a chance to see the explosiveness. You get to see just how dangerous he is in space, and all he needs is a crease. And that's what I saw. So that's what separates him. And I think that elevates the Lions' passing attack a little bit more than what they've had in the past, because it's more than just a possession style receiver or just kind of working your way down the field. When you can have a home run hitter, then that opens things up quite a bit, and it puts fear in the defense at a different level to where they have to be really on top of it, or they give up the big plays like we saw yesterday. I mean, you think about it, over 25 yards a catch. Come on. I mean, that's big play. That's big play in the NFL. That's big play on any level.
All right. I want to get back to you right quick. Hold on, because I want to remind you what you said here, talking to Mike earlier in the year. You got some tweets out here where you were talking about him putting on some size. Did you notice a size difference with him yesterday?
Yeah, I noticed he has a little bit more weight. I don't know exactly what his weight is now, but that's going to be natural because in the NFL, you have to your body has to mature to the level of the talent. And it's a physical sport. It's a physical league, and the players are much more disciplined and in the weight room. So I think for him, as long as it doesn't cause him to lose that burst or that speed or the agility, there's nothing wrong with him just having a little bit more size. But whatever he's doing well, and it was great to see him take some shots, get involved, make some plays, make some tough catches, but at the same time, he's looking to make big plays.
Now, Lomas, you're around the team a lot. What do you see from Jameson Williams as far as his mental makeup, how he's matured in as far as the mental capacity of him and how he's playing the game right now?
Well, I mean, again, it's to be determined too how the chemistry is going to keep coming along with him and Jared Goff, and that's what I'm interested to see how that works out the rest of the season. Again, the Lions went into training camp thinking about who's going to be their third, fourth, and fifth receiver. I was always concerned with who's going to be number two. So again, this is a great start for J-Mo to start this way out. Got to keep building on that. Herm, no, you can't really rest on your laurels like that. You got to keep building on that. And then once you build on that, you're going to have to find the way to go through that, because then you become a target. Then they start, game planning towards you. So it would be good to see his growth and how teams go about defending him. But, mentally, he seems to be saying and doing the right things. And, it seems to be showing on the field.
Right. So Waymo is here to stay. I'm going to say it myself. Waymo is here to stay. He going to do his thing for the Lions this season. I mean, I don't know what y'all seeing, but I'm seeing it from the young fella. And shout out to him. Shout out to Jared Goff for giving him that Sunday night football game, man. I'm pretty sure he still has it, probably carrying around the facility this afternoon. All right, home. Lo, I'm coming back to you, my man. All right, big fella. What did you see from Kevin Zeitler? Because he didn't have much to do in camp because he was injured. And how do you think that Russ impacted the start of the game with Penei Sewell on that right side of the offensive line?
Yeah, I think, again, if you think about it, like we said a little earlier, that was their first action. So that was really the first time them guys, I know they went down to New York and they went against that scrimmage, but as Herm know, man, that thing is scripted. This was real. This was the real thing right here. So that was their first time. So, and like you said, Zeitler hadn't practiced. He had basically missed the whole training camp. So again, another guy, first action. So you expect some technique things early in the game. You expect some things not to be where they are or where they're going to be at, in the future and in the near future. So to me, he was a little rusty on a couple of plays, but I thought that he played well. He didn't get any penalties. Like I say, the thing about it, if you go through the game and you don't call out a lineman, that's a good thing. If you don't hear your name called out, that means you ain't getting the penalties or anything like that. So I thought overall the whole line was a little rusty, but I thought as the game went along, they really, really got into the game. And I'm telling you, I said this, I pronounced this earlier before the season started. My offensive MVP is David Montgomery. I'm telling you, that offense don't go. To me, he's just as important as Jared Goff. You can't lose any of them guys for any extended time because I'm telling you, you got Jameer Gibbs, but I'm telling you, David makes that offense go.
Okay. All right. So, Herman, I can ask you a question. Did you ever hear Lomas' names called out during the games? You guys playing back in the day?
Not often. The big fella.
You don't want to hear
held
that.
it down. Yeah, he held it down. I heard my name. Yeah, I heard mine called a lot more. Having to be out there and be open to a little bit more criticism. But I'll say this, Lomas, to your point on the offensive line, I just want to touch on that real quick. There's a confidence. If you look at, not to compare the two, because I know the Rams were decimated. I know they were having some really significant struggles on the left side of their offensive line that made them very one-dimensional. You could see that the quarterback was very uncomfortable, and it was only, with Matthews' athleticism and his toughness that allowed them to actually make some of the throws that he made. Otherwise, this is just not going to work when you see how Aiden Hutchinson and anyone that was on that other side, and they kept trying to bring over the tight end. When you can have the pocket like Jared Goff had, and when you can have players stepping up and he's getting the ball to guys like J-Mo, he's throwing Laporta, he's got St. Brown, even though he didn't get a lot of touches. And then we can touch on that, some of the things I saw there. But this offense, to your point, Lomas, the bread and butter was running the football. If you look at it, they really didn't have to get away from the run, that much. I mean, if they wanted to run 70% of the plays with rushing the football, that would have been okay because they were very effective. They were getting really good yardage. And when the offensive line kind of settled in and some of that rust started to ease up just slightly, they seem very comfortable in the run game blocking. And that's going to be a strength for this team. And again, Jameer Gibbs, contributor, but they didn't have to, lean too heavily there. Montgomery was just a straight beast, and he was running with direction. And I know they brought up the fact that these guys were sticking with their lanes. They were going downhill. Jameer Gibbs, I know they're trying to get him to do less bouncing and things of that nature. But this is a really good offensive line. That is definitely their strength.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, do me a favor, like the video and comment. Give us your selection for MVP of the game yesterday. Put it in the comments. We got a special prize coming up for you. So please stay tuned with us right here on the Lions Rewind with Herman Lo, man. Y'all know how we get down right here on Lions Nation Unite. So I'm coming back to you again, Herm,
See,
man.
that was a
I
good
want to know
question. Wait a minute, wait a minute. That was a good
what you got.
question. So, who was your MVP for last
Who was
Mine
night?
my
Who was your MVP?
for
Yeah,
Kurt
yeah,
or
both of
Herm, who
myself?
was
y'all.
your
Both of y'all. Both of
Go ahead,
y'all.
Kurt.
okay?
I'll give
All
you
right,
mine. I
so
have mine. Yeah.
my MVP of the game last night, it had to be Waymo, man. Waymo was doing Waymo. So doing Waymo. Waymo was doing Waymo last night. That double move he put on Tre'Davious White. I mean, he made Tre'Davious White look like a rookie on that play. I mean, he was just standing still. He was mad. He couldn't even grab him. He went. I mean, it was a penalty. I mean, he tried it. He tried to stop him, but he couldn't. But you just looked at the way he played the game, not just in the pass game, but in the run game with the end arounds and just the way I saw his maturation process. For me, Low, it had to be him, and I have to give a really close second to David Montgomery because he just really took over that. Like Shannon Sharp said, it was disrespectful in overtime. They just really, it was they just pushed him around. We're gonna talk about that in a little bit with Herm here in a minute. I mean, with Low in a minute. But Herm, who you got? Who was your MVP of the game?
Well, I'm gonna go. You know, a lot of people will think I immediately will go to wide receiver. I'm not gonna do that. J Mo, I think was great. You talk about the double move that he did on the left side that ultimately led for the touchdown. It was that strength we talk about, running through the grab, running through that component. You know, could he have done that a year and a half ago? I don't think so. I don't think the strength would have been there, the confidence. But there was a determination, there was crispness in the route, and the whole nine. It was executed to a T. But when you look at David Montgomery and the wheel of, you know, he wanted the ball, he was a difference maker, and just the way in which getting him the ball and the way in which he was able to just really take control of breaking those first tackles or just really, you know, getting those extra yards, it commanded a totally different type of attention, and it put the game in a different space throughout. And then if it was to solidify that and to kind of put the icing on the cake for him, and my selection for the game MVP would be just that definitely the overtime drive. I mean, that was just, you know, we're coming, we're going to do this one thing until you stop it, and you can't stop it. And you got to credit the line too with that. You know what I mean? It's like you can't do it by himself, but he was definitely the factor, the X factor for me yesterday.
Yeah.
Did you look at that Rams defensive line? They were puffing, huffing, and puffing like they needed oxygen in the middle of the plays because that offensive line was wearing them out. But Herm, I'm gonna stick with you. So here's my question to you, because we talked about the low production of St. Brown and Laporta yesterday, and I have my thoughts on it. And I think it was a concerted effort by the Rams to make sure that they did not take advantage like they did in the playoff game. They kept that middle of the field kind of locked down because Jared Goff killed them in that last year. What can Ben Johnson do to make sure that there's not a repeat low performance next week versus the Buccaneers?
Well, that comes with the territory of being a number one. That comes with the territory of being an all-pro wide receiver. You no longer are hidden. People plan for you. They game plan, and when teams want to take you out, you got to have the strength of what you saw with the running game to be able to loosen them up and get them into. You know, it's interesting because I'll be brief on this. I thought that the Rams were going to start to force them into a certain type of a offensive sync. But the Lions, I was like, you know what? They're going to just run and force the Rams into man. Well, they got the man coverage. I saw St. Brown. He was manned up quite a bit, and they did a little bit of spying, a little bit of bringing the safety out of the top or spying him with the linebacker. But for the most part, I think they were just making it take longer for him to get open. You know, he's very crafty. St. Brown, he works the seams, he gets in the hole of the defense, and that's how he made his living the last couple of years. And teams now, I think, are going to try and say, you know what, we're going to make you have to defeat coverage and defeat people in front of you. And even J-Mo, they had him and man up as well, so they could bring more people and they could do more things. And that allowed them to have a safety and maybe a linebacker on Laporta. So they're planning on taking away the big weapons were there. And that's going to be kind of the game plan and the blueprint that defenses are going to look at. because all they take every year and every week, the minute you see what a defense does effectively against the top players of an offensive unit, that other defense the following week will take some of that playbook and use it and understand why was it so effective. So that's something they're gonna have to clean up. I think putting St. Brown in motion allows him not to get stuck at the line of scrimmage and or get held up as much. But at the same time, it's going to be that way for the rest of the season. It's not going to be an easy take. So he's going to have to win some battles. He's going to have to beat some coverages, and he's going to have to run away from some people to make some plays.
All right.
So you know what? That's kind of interesting too, from the standpoint of Herm. Kind of how, if you flip it around on the defensive side of the ball, how Aaron Glenn played our young secondary, right? Herm, you know, we talking about rookies back there in the secondary. So you know you guys used to lick your chops when you got up against a rookie guy. But it was interesting to see how Aaron Glenn started the game off. They ran, like probably the whole first quarter, they ran mostly zone defense. And Herm, you know, right, isn't that to protect the young defensive back? If you run a lot of zone coverage compared to Aaron Glenn, who we know he's a guy that loves to run man-to-man coverage. But again, you take that chance on, you know, ruin the. I don't know if it works the same, Herm. What you think? Like a quarterback, you know how you can ruin a quarterback early? You know what I'm saying? You put him in there too early and you can ruin him. I think the same can work for a defensive back, right? We had Jeff Okudah here, you know, number 3 pick, a lot of expectation. Things didn't work out, never got better from that standpoint. So it seemed like the Lions are taking a different approach with these young defensive backs in the backfield.
That's a really good point. You know, it was leaving them so that they wouldn't have the exposure. And as a veteran receiver, you are looking to take advantage of what they don't know. And there were some compromising situations where you can see you get a young guy like Arnold to turn his hips a certain way, then you break across his face. He can't get out of the cut as much, and it creates an easy completion to a veteran guy like Cooper Kupp. Then if you get the sit down routes, and then you're getting crossing routes, and then you have to pass and bump people off. And you know, if you look at the Rams, I mean, they talked about how much they use motion. Motion is done specifically, and they probably did even more. I know they use a lot of motion, but they probably did a lot more to try and confuse some of the places and spaces in defense, because that usually you have to pass off assignments. And when you pass off assignments, if everyone does not on the same page, you get broken coverage. And we saw that in a couple spaces during this time, but they're going to continue to target the young secondary. It's going to limit what they can do. If you get into man situation, I just don't think the corners at this youthfulness part of their career are going to be ready to just man up and play some of your more crafty guys head to head like that, because you will get exposed. But to the same point, it's going to be, you're going to have to take some chances, because teams are going to force you into man. The Rams, if they didn't have some of the injuries along the offensive line, and then also didn't have a couple of receivers, you know, go down or whatever you, I think if you look at the efficiency in which Matthew Stafford was throwing the ball, it was a short hits. They were getting the ball in and out. They were trying to force them into man coverage, because you can't sit back in zone and allow yourself to be picked apart. And that's what they were doing. That's why they were so efficient on third down and had a high percentage of conversion rates in first downs, because they were just getting that 4, 5, 8 yards. And that's a veteran move. That's veteran quarterback. And that's forcing the hand.
All right, Lo. As an offensive lineman, how did you see what was going on between Taylor Decker and Jared Curse over there on that offense? I mean, he got the sack on Jared Goff. How did you see that matchup?
Yeah, I mean, it was good matchups out there all game long, and you're right. I mean, it was just a simple outside pass rush that beat Taylor Decker that time. Jared Verse didn't do anything special that time, and sometimes you get caught leaning, and I think that's what happened to Taylor on that. He just took advantage of him, shortened that corner, and was able to get around them. But I thought for the most part, you know, those guys, they played well up front individually. You know, you have to play well as a unit, but then you also look to see how guys are playing individually, and they seem to be playing well. And if we flip it back on the other side, man, tell me about, because I was thinking about maybe even Aiden Hutchinson as part of my MVP for that game. Because if you think about the impact, I'm right, he didn't have a lot of production, but when he had his production, it was so impactful. Because remember, they were driving the ball. They were in our red zone when he got that one holding call against the defense, and they had to move the ball back. And then I think 2 plays later, he got another holding call that kind of forced them to have to punt the ball. So they were down there about to score, and 2 of those penalties that Aiden Hutchinson drew against the offensive lineman caused that, along with him getting a sack. So like I say, he didn't have a lot. He had a sack. He had 4 hits on the quarterback. So he didn't have an abundance of production, but it was so timely when he had that it was the reason why we went into overtime, because that was that drive that kept them from being able to go ahead. They were ahead, gave us the opportunity to go down, kick the field goal, take it to overtime.
Now I have to ask you: did you ever face a pass rusher that was like, he was like, "Oh man, this dude is taking my lunch money"? I mean, because the young fella, he was struggling out there on that side. So, you ever have a pass rusher like that?
Hey, Herm, it was funny, man. Look, you should have seen Aiden. Soon as that other tackle got hurt, man, oh boy, and it was the opposite side tackle. Guess where Aiden was that next play? He was like he was running, sprinting to get over there to that other side. Because, man, that's how it was. Hey, I witnessed a fight, damn near a fight in the game between John Randall and Henry Thomas, because Sean Bowens, Sean was in the game at left guard next to me. John Randall had just got a sack against Sean Bowens. Man, him and Henry Thomas was sitting over there about to fight. Talking about, man, I'm getting over him next. Nah, Henry was like, nah, man, it's my turn to get a piece of him. They was damn near about to fight on the field trying to line up over Sean Bowens, man. So I don't see that happen. So when you smell blood, man, you go after it. And that's what Aiden Hutchinson was doing. He had a weaker guy over there. He knew he could beat that guy, and he went over there and started working him.
All right. Yeah. And I was just stopping and pausing for a minute because I know you were saying that was a close one for MVP for the game. And I just go, I understand where you're going, disruption. I get it. All right. But there's an unfortunate piece that occurred. That's like if all of a sudden our, corners go down and you just got to bring in someone who has zero experience and is just, it's just a bad situation. And he gets taken advantage of. I think that's just a game plan. That's just a smart move to go after the weakness of that offensive line. But I go, all things being equal, players that, you're not going to have that type of opportunity each week where you're down to the 3rd guy or the 4th guy or the scout team guy that you're facing. How do you still get the impact from your key players when you have the true starters and the true number ones that are in the game? And I don't think that would have made a difference with a guy like David Montgomery. I think it was just a matter of the offensive line being superior, being better, and you having a running back that was hell-bent on making some things happen. And because of that, then that was a big piece. So I hear you, and I think this was just a good opportunity and an opener for these guys to walk away, because they left a good 10 to 13, 17 points on the board from the Rams side of it. So there's some things to be cleaned up, and I don't think this is something that you just walk away completely, given the fact that this was a team that was down those people that they kind of shot themselves in the foot, and they had some things go wrong on their side. So there's some things that we can't be too overly complacent about when it comes to what needs to happen. And it's a great win. A win is a win, but you're just not going to get them handed to you. And even though this one wasn't, but there were some things that really worked out in their favor.
Okay. Hey, all right. So, fellas, it's time to wrap the show up. Just give me your final thoughts going forward about what happened last night with the Rams and the Lions.
Well, I know for me, it like Herm started the show off saying, it was exciting to see all the fans down there. It was exciting to see the city come together again, not like since we came together last year in the playoffs. And, man, it's just great to see the Lions, a team that had all this expectation coming into the season. It's finally good to see them play a game and win a tough game. That was a tough game going up against Matthew Stafford, national TV last night. So kudos to them. Like Herm say, they got a lot to clean up, but a win is a win. You'll take them because they're so precious in the NFL, and you need every one of them. We got to stack them. So I'm just happy we starting off 1-0.
And I'll say this, and on my final parting shot, this is a team that I think came in. They're coming this season with a lot of expectations. There's a lot of, I think, pressure that's on them to be the favorites to win NFC North, but also to repeat somewhat close to the performance that they had the previous year. As we know, that's not just something that's just going to happen. The team's going to have to work for it. So I need them to clean up quite a bit. I need them to go out and really get aggressive and stay aggressive offensively and not abandon. When you have a pulse on a team, you force them to change without having to worry about changing your side of it. I think the play mix is good. Defensively, I think they were solid, but there is going to be some exposure in the secondary if they can get teams can get them playing man coverage more than they really want to get them out of that zone. So there's some things to work on, but all together 1-0, you can't ask for anything better. If I'm a coach, I'm Coach Campbell right now. I'm very excited about what this team accomplished, but we're going to clean it up and we'll get ready for Tampa Bay because they're not going to be an easy game either.
All right.
I have one question from the audience real quick.
Okay, what you got?
Jameson touchdown dance. Herman, I know you do the post-game dance when they win. Lo, you do it when they win. Herm, you did it when you scored. What's up? How was the dance? What are we doing?
I think I'll critique it. I'll give them probably a 6 or a 7. I think it'll get better. I think it was just the excitement and the energy that was there at the moment. But I think there were some technical pieces there that need to be cleaned up just a little bit. But at the end of it, I just spiked the ball because it's all about the spike. Right, that's it. Just spike it right, and then you're good to go. Dancing, I'll leave that to the young fellas.
Hey, you being nice because he needs to work on that, man. That was about a 10-minute dance, man. He can't be out there dancing like that.
It was long.
It was, but all I'm saying is it was his first really breaking out the dance, right? So I gave him a 6, man. 6 is not like a winning score. That's not going to make you win anything. I'm just saying there's some things he needs to work on.
Lomas, what was your favorite Herman post-game celebration? I mean, what did he do?
Man, he didn't, like he said, he tried to spike it. He just spiked it between his legs. He'd go up there and just spike it between the legs. I'm glad he cleared the man area every time. That would have been embarrassing. That would have been real embarrassing.
But that wasn't going to happen. And then you see, it was all about the elevation. Once you spike it, how high does it go up like that? Dunking the goalpost, I could do that in my sleep. Doing all the little dances and all that. It's not my style. That's not my swag. But when I spike it, that's like when you put in like emojis and do all this stuff, like them exclamation points, we put those big red ones up. Those things stand out, right? That's me when I spike. I'll put all the little cute stuff, little birds and people doing this and people doing this. That's not, come on, man. No, every time you see those exclamation points or that 100 in red, that's me. Boom.
What would you have done in that?
That says a whole lot when I spiked it too. If you look at me, that was like so disrespectful because most of them are on the ground or right by me when I spiked it.
Man. You don't got him wound up about, okay, you all right, Herm?
I would beat all of them up too. They wanted it.
Loud it all up. Make sure you guys put your MVP for the game in the comments, and please put the prize up on the screen, producers, so we can tell them what they can win with the contest here. Herm and Lo, go ahead and explain what this is right here with this great blanket.
That is,
come on, man. Blanket. Puppeteers, man. That's how we do it. This was the Herman Lo edition. This is our blanket for the Rams. Lomas and I, man, this is our journey throughout the NFL and through our career. People need to really get on these. We got stretch canvases. We're going to be doing the blankets for these and just different renderings of this different look here. But you can see he looks just like Lo. Look at him over there holding on to them Rams like that. And then you got me sitting there going, trying to get my lion thing together. But I love this artwork. What do you think, Lo?
Yeah, that's awesome there, man. We slaughtered those guys right there. I love that right there. But they were puppets last night, Herm. We were the puppet masters last night.
There it is. That's
And
what I'm talking
There you
about.
go.
I can attest to the quality of the blankets. I have my 80s blanket right here, Lions Nation Unite. So great quality, nice and warm on those brisk fall summers and winters
Oh, we
and
got
all
everybody
those
pulling them out.
nights.
Everybody got them.
Yeah,
Okay, I might.
Oh
great,
wow.
I
great
mean, you have
Okay.
artwork
products, man.
behind you.
So
Remember,
And then
Herman,
don't
so
you have
forget, see
artwork
right
behind
there.
you.
There it is, right there.
yeah.
See that? There's more
So
of
I
our
actually
artwork.
Flo,
got a
you're in a
tattoo.
Besides
sleeveless.
stretch canvases.
Flo, you're
Oh,
in
you
a
got the
sleeveless now.
tattoo?
I listen to Easy. Well, make sure you check out Easy and my man Spencer over there. Raxer over there on we're heavyweights, man, because they do big things over there. So make sure you check those guys out, and make sure you tune in to the Boss Up Ball Out podcast, man. You see the logo, baby. If you see the logo, you see the show. And make sure you become a part of the community. Join the movement and go ahead and subscribe to Lions Nation Unite. Herm, Lo, Chrissy, Easy, Spence, thank you all for joining the panel today, man. I know we got some producers coming in a little late, but it was a pleasure hosting this platform with you guys today, man. Tune in next week as Herm and Lo Lions Rewind looks at the Lions and Bucks game. It's gonna be some fun, man. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna chop it up and have a good time right here on Lions Nation Unite. Thank you for tuning in. And I gotta give you my signature goodbye for the show, man. Whatever you do in life, for your man Kurt Steele, you got to boss up, ball out, and be the best version of you that you can be. Right here on LNU. This is Kurt Steele, and we will holla at you.